We'll get started in just a minute here.
Gracias, muchas gracias. Obrigado, gente. Bom.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Carly. I'm the Community Events and Partnerships Lead here at Learn It, and really excited to be with all of you this morning. We have an amazing presentation on how to avoid burnout while working remotely with James Jeffley. And we also have Alyssa from Eden Housing here. Quick overview on our community events. We're really excited to be hosting these every Friday on a different top of mind topic. Hence this week's session on how to avoid burnout working remotely. We have a session on storytelling, kind of fun for Halloween. So that will be coming up next week, and I'll send out more information and more sessions coming up in the month to follow into November. But we're really excited for the last actually 7 weeks, going into 8 weeks now. We've been working with Eden Housing as our nonprofit partner for these sessions, and so 100% of the donations from these sessions go straight to Eden's Housing Tenant Relief Fund. So these sessions are meant to help you stay learning, stay growing during this time of rapid change that we're all in, and kind of adapt to this new normal. And also really to come together as a community and support each other. And as a partner with Eden Housing, we're really proud to partner with them on their own internal training and also to help them drive engagement and revenue for really an amazing program that they do to house families and communities in California across the state. So I'm really excited to have Alyssa on here with me as well. Alyssa, if you can unmute yourself, thanks so much for being here.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Carly, for that great introduction. Good morning, everybody. It's lovely to meet you all. My name is Alyssa, as Carly mentioned. I'm the Community Engagement and Volunteer Programs Manager for Eden Housing. We're based out of the Bay Area in California. We have a lot of properties located in Hayward, which is our home city. But we have properties from as far north as West Sacramento and as far south as San Diego and San Ysidro in California. And we house seniors, families, veterans, formerly homeless individuals, as well as persons with special needs. And so the Tenant Relief Fund kind of came into play when COVID-19 just impacted all of our lives in the way that it has. And so far we have helped about 400 of our families kind of cover or help put a dent in some of their back rent based on the fact that a lot of our families have experienced job loss or cut hours due to the pandemic. So thank you guys so much for having me on here. If you guys have any questions about the Tenant Relief Fund or Eden Housing volunteering or Eden Housing in general, I'll be here throughout the session and at the end to also answer any questions. But Carly and I are also hosting an office hours, quote unquote, lunch and learn next week, Wednesday, where you guys can come and join and learn a little bit more or ask more in-depth questions about Eden Housing. And I'll be there to help answer any of your questions and here as well to help answer any of your questions. And I'm really looking forward to this training. I think at this point in working from home, we all need a little extra help. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. Yeah, and just to reiterate that too, I'll send the link in the chat window and after the session on the office hours. But Alyssa and I will be available next Wednesday, the 28th, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. So we're really excited to, 1 to 1:30 p.m. On next Wednesday. So we'll send out more information on that, and really excited. There's a lot of really great opportunities to volunteer virtually. So really a great organization, really excited to be partnering. I also want to take a moment to introduce James Jeffley, who's our instructor today. And James, I'll let you kind of intro yourself as well, but I just wanted to highlight James is just one of our amazing instructors here at Learn It that we've worked with over the years. He's an internationally renowned speaker, trainer, and certified facilitator and coach. So he does a lot of one-on-one coaching as well. And he also is one of our lead facilitators around growth mindset, cultural sensitivity, critical thinking skills, and he works with a lot of our internal clients to help them really upskill and grow their teams and address issues that are really specific, especially to remote work. So there's no one better than to teach the session than James. And again, he has over 20 years of experience as a manager, as an entrepreneur. So he's been in the same seat that many of you have all been in. And so it's been a pleasure to work with James and really excited. I'm also really excited for this session today as well. So James, over to you.
Thank you so much, Carly. Let me switch slides here for just a moment. And here we go. Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? All right, super. Let me do that. Good morning. Can everyone hear me and see my slides? We all good? Super.
Yes.
2020 has been quite a year, hasn't it? We've had the COVID-19 coronavirus, which has impacted virtually everybody on the planet in some form or fashion, either directly or indirectly. For some people, it's been a prolonged inconvenience. For others, it's been an absolute catastrophe or fatality. We're looking at almost 42 million cases worldwide, 1.1 million deaths here in the United States. We're looking at 8.3 million total cases, 418,000 in the last 7 days alone, and over 221,000 deaths. Add to that wildfires that have ravaged many parts of the United States, especially the West and here in California. How many of you remember waking up about a month ago and you looked outside and the sky was orange? Anybody remember that? I thought, did I miss the alarm? Am I waking up in the middle of the night? What's going on here? I thought, what's next? The 4 horsemen are coming down the street. Anyway, we've also seen, police brutality with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others, which led to the nationwide protests for equal rights and civility. We've also seen a rise in unemployment, a peak of almost 15% in April. And even though it's down to about a little under 8% now, that number doesn't represent all the people who have lost hours or who are underemployed. And there are an estimated 31 million people out of work or underemployed right now in the United States. Yelp released a business report in September that indicated that we have about 164,000 businesses that have closed. That's a 23% increase since mid-July. Almost 98,000 permanent closures of businesses, which results in about 60% of closed businesses not reopening again. And that's a 34% increase since mid-July. With so many moratoriums on evictions expiring in many states, almost 40 million Americans are facing eviction. And so the mission of Eden is extremely important. And, I'm facing something similar to this myself, where I need to move by the end of the month because the homeowners decided they want to move back in to their house. So, yeah, mental health issues are on the rise. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, 53% of adults report negative mental health impacts due to COVID worry and stress. 32% are reporting difficulty sleeping. 32% are reporting eating disorders. 12% increase in alcohol or substance abuse, 12% worsening chronic conditions. All of this and so much more has led many of us to burnout. Just drop it in the chat box, if you will. How many of you are experiencing any of the things that I've talked about, especially burnout, stress, worry, anxiety? You can just throw a chat in there or a yes in the chat. All of the above. Somebody said, yep, all of it. And so what we are experiencing, and I don't think I can understate this, we are all experiencing a global trauma event. How many of you thought all of this would be over by, May? Oh, surely by April, May, we're going to be out of this, right? We'll be back to normal. Anybody? Yeah, several. Oh, yeah, this is going to be by fall at least, right? By fall, yeah, we'll be done. Here we are, 7 months into this thing. And from what I've read, what I've heard from other companies, that are giving instructions to their employees, and from what I read from different pharmaceutical companies, et cetera, that we probably are looking at continuing what we're doing now for at least another year. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to be a naysayer. I'm a generally positive, optimistic person. I'm also a realist, and I'm looking at what's happening, and I'm not seeing, much in terms of widespread change around making this any better. So we have to learn how to adapt. It was Darwin that said it's not the strongest that survive, nor the most intelligent, rather the ones most adaptable to change. So our opportunity here is to learn how to adapt and how to overcome. So in the next few minutes, what I want to share with you are some ideas about what is burnout, what's the impact of that, how to tell if you're actually burned out or on the path to it, and what you can do about it. I want to share some specific tips to help you with that. So what is burnout? Burnout is different than just plain old stress. I think most people experience stress. Yeah, I hear you, Nadine. You're from South Africa. You might not be able to relate to all the U.S. issues. No worries. And you may have a much different experience where you are. What is burnout? Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It happens when we feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. Given that definition, how many of you think you're headed towards burnout? Emotional, physical, mental exhaustion, excessive and prolonged stress. Heather says, definitely, yes, yep, definitely. There already, right, at some point. This is an important thing to understand about burnout. It is not dichotomous. In other words, it's not an on or off proposition. You're not burned out or not burned out. It happens in stages, okay? So you could start over here and everything's fine, and then a little stressed and a little stressed and a little stressed, and before you know it, you're just done. So let me ask you, here's one way to assess where you are right now in this moment. On a scale of Prince, how are you feeling today? Which level of Prince are you? 5, 4, and 8? Okay, good. 4, 7. Pre-COVID, I was probably 6 most of the time. During COVID, I'm somewhere between 4, 5, and 7. That's where I show up a lot. 5, 3, you're a 3. Okay, yeah, I feel you. So let me share with you 5 stages of burnout. Here's how to recognize where you are in the stages. So the first stage is actually the honeymoon phase. Now, the World Health Organization declared burnout as an occupational hazard, not necessarily a medical condition. Before COVID, still a 4, 5 pre-COVID, thank you. So in the honeymoon phase, what this means is, you've got some job satisfaction, you're readily accepting responsibility, you have sustained energy levels, you're optimistic about things, you're ready to go. It's got that new car smell, right? You're feeling good. You have a compulsion to prove yourself, right? Well, stage 2 is the onset of stress. And this is where some of that optimism starts to wane. You notice some common stress symptoms affecting you physically, mentally, emotionally, maybe high blood pressure, maybe inability to focus, or you start to become irritable, or lack of sleep, or job dissatisfaction, or lower productivity. Those are all signs of stage 2 of burnout. So if you're experiencing any of that, fatigue, forgetfulness, headaches, etc., you might be at stage 2. Stage 3, this just gets worse. This is chronic stress. There's a marked change in your stress levels going from motivation to experiencing stress on a frequent basis. You may also experience more intense symptoms like procrastination, resentfulness, repeated tardiness for work, physical illness, tiredness in the mornings, apathy, cynical attitude, chronic exhaustion, denial of problems at home or at work, increased alcohol or drug consumption. That's stage 3. Stage 4 is burnout. When you're in this stage, this is where the symptoms become critical. Burnout is talked about more generally in this stage. You develop an escapist mentality. You just want to run away. I'm going to binge watch Netflix. I finished Netflix last week, by the way, all of Netflix. You start to have self-doubt, a pessimistic outlook on life, chronic headaches, complete neglect of personal needs. You used to show up on the Zoom calls, your hair is done and everything. And after about 3 weeks, you're wearing pajamas. At some point, you stop wearing pants and then you just turn the camera off. How many of you are there? Just camera off. I don't even care what I'm wearing anymore. I'm binge watching Nurse Jackie right now. I hear you, Ruth. Right? At this stage, at stage 4 of burnout, you want to sort of drop out of society. You have a desire to move away from work, friends, family, etc. At stage 5, what we're talking about now is habitual burnout. This means the symptoms of burnout are so embedded in your life, you're likely to experience significant physical or emotional problems, as opposed to occasionally experiencing stress or burnout. Chronic sadness, depression, burnout syndrome, chronic mental fatigue, chronic physical fatigue. So those are the 5 stages. That's how to recognize where you are. You may not remember all of this, but based on what I just shared, how many of you were clearly able to identify where you think you are in these 5 stages? And you can just put it in the chat box, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. 4, 3, and 4. 4, 4, 3, and 4, 5. Wow. Okay. 4 and 5, 2 to 5. Yeah. And, for some people, this kind of fluctuates. You might have a good moment or a good day, but usually you're going to see these symptoms show up consistently. They're going to show up more often. Who's burned out right now? According to a recent Gallup poll, about 23% of employees feel burned out at work very often or always. About 44% of employees say they feel sometimes burned out at work. And there's a real cost to this, folks. Forbes had an article that said we spend about $125 to $190 billion every year in healthcare costs related to burnout. 8% of national spending on healthcare is for workplace stress. Burnout often leads to disengaged employees who cost employers about 34% of their annual salary as a result, and 20 to 50% or more of workplace turnover is directly related to burnout. So this is a real thing, and it's affecting us in many ways, personally and professionally. The effects of burnout, well, 63% of people are more likely to take a sick day. Half as likely to discuss how to approach performance goals with your manager. 23% are more likely to visit the emergency room. You're 2 times 0.6 as likely to leave your current job. 13% less confident in your performance. So those are the direct effects of employee burnout. Some of the consequences physically, personally, according to the Mayo Clinic, excessive stress is a consequence of burnout. Fatigue, insomnia. How many of you have noticed your sleep patterns are off since COVID, since working from home? Oh, yeah, right? Yeah, what is sleep? I feel you, right? Yeah, right? And so whatever we can do to get more sleep, if we have to turn off the TV or the internet or shut down our electronic devices, it's important to try to get as much sleep as we can, because the less sleep we have, the more prone we are to increased stress. Sadness, anger, or irritability. Anybody feeling any of that stuff? Alyssa says since the beginning. Yep, right. Alcohol or substance misuse is a consequence of burnout. This could lead to heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. And the Mayo Clinic says it can also, because of increased stress, make us more vulnerable to illnesses like COVID-19. So these are the things that we are looking at. These are the things that we are that we're trying to deal with, right? And all of us are experiencing some of this to some degree or another, a little more, a little less, etc. So if you're feeling any of this, you might be wondering, well, how do I know if I'm really stressed? You know If you're really stressed, you already feel it. You don't need a, rocket scientist for this. But there's a cool website called test-stress.com. Test-stress.com. When you go there, and this is just something I'm sharing with you. We don't have a partnership with them. It doesn't cost anything. I've taken a few of the free assessments out there. This is all based on the well-known and regarded Maslach burnout inventory. This is highly regarded as the most comprehensive and definitive test that you can take to determine if you are stressed or if you are burned out. This test-stress.com website is based on that Maslach burnout inventory. It's sort of the shorter, simpler, free version of the MBI. So you can pop out there. They can take a number of tests over here on the left side, PTSD test, cardiac stress test, burnout test, stress test, etc. They don't ask for any information. You can add your email if you want to get a newsletter, but you can just click on one of the tests. They'll ask you a few questions. At the end, you'll get a score. Now, this is no substitute for actually talking to a certified licensed mental health or professional or a doctor, right? So if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, please talk to a qualified licensed professional and get the help that you need. This is just a simple online test to maybe point you in the direction of what's going on, all right? But talk to professionals. So what can I do to fight burnout? Well, here's one person's approach to fighting burnout.
Hey, so as some of you guys might know, I'm a music teacher, and I found that one of the best ways that I can process the whole transition to online learning and teaching is to write a song. So I wrote a song. I'd like to share that with you guys now. Here we go.
Sometimes you just got to let it out. How many of you feel like she did? As funny as that is, and I think she's gotten like 1 billion hits on that. At times, I think it's important to step away from whatever you're doing and just release it. If you feel like crying, go cry somewhere. And I know it may be difficult if you got little ones at home. You don't want to scare kids, especially if you're the single parent. But if you can just steal a moment away to just put your head in a pillow and cry, or go outside for a moment and just yell at a tree, or just release it, then do that. That may provide you with some benefit. So let me give you a couple of techniques to help you if you don't want to scream and write a song about it. There's one technique to help relieve stress in the moment called brain breathing. And this technique utilizes breathing to take control of the brain. We have a bunch of parts of our brain, but basically we have two parts that sort of rule us. There's the logical, rational, reasoning, thinking portion, and then there's the lizard brain emotional portion, right? So the prefrontal cortex handles all that high-level decision-making and thinking. That processes things a little slower than our emotional brains. We're hardwired to look for threats. Is something going to get me, right? So that's going to process things first. So when we're thinking clearly, that frontal part of our brain is working. But when we perceive a threat, like, oh, I don't know, the sky is orange, the forest is on fire, unemployment, COVID-19, any of the things that we've all been dealing with, then that thinking brain shuts down and that emotional brain takes over. And we don't always make the best decisions when we're operating from that emotional brain. So one of the ways to get that thinking brain back into control is to do a technique called brain breathing. And what that is very simple. You count. When you find yourself just being stressed out about something, if you can just remember that moment, count. Count what? I don't know, anything, numbers, 1, 2, 3, you can count out loud, you can count in your head, because counting activates both the mathematical and language areas of the brain. So when we start counting, we activate 6 to 8 different areas of our brain that aren't our limbic brain, the emotional brain. And if we combine this with conscious breathing, that stimulates our vagus nerve and helps to reduce stress. So if we can combine counting with breathing, then we get a chance to engage our conscious, our thinking brain, move away from our emotional brain, and also activate the vagus nerve and reduce stress. Intentional breathing activates brain areas that control paying attention, anticipating reward, controlling impulses, acting on ethics, and monitoring decisions. So here's the technique. Feel free to do this with me. Get in a comfortable position. Now, I don't think anybody can physically do this, so we're just going to imagine this. We're going to visualize in our minds, breathing in one nostril and out the other. Again, I don't think you can do circular breathing with your nose, but just imagine in your mind that you're breathing in one nostril and out the other. While we're doing that, we're going to count in our minds on the inhale, and we're going to count on the exhale. We're going to count to 4 on the inhale, hold it for 4, then we're going to count on the exhale. So let's try it. And just breathe normally. In, hold, exhale. If you're not congested, if you can breathe through your nose and then out through your mouth, try that. Try that again. In, hold, exhale. If you practice this slow, intentional breathing with counting, you may notice an immediate shift in your mood. How did you all feel when we were doing the breathing with the counting and holding it? How'd you all feel? Focused? Thank you, Roel. Relaxed, calm. Thank you, Kelly. Calm, Haley. Steady. Great word, Heather. Calm, grounded. Yes, Sarah. And this is free. It has an immediate benefit, and it's available to us anytime we can remind ourselves to breathe. So whenever you're having some difficulty, some stress, from whatever's going on, oh God, another Zoom meeting, or the kids, or the dog, or just life, watching the news, etc. In, and do this slowly. Hold. And out again. That's one technique. Breathe your way through the stress in the moment. Was that helpful for anybody? I know this isn't rocket science, and I know we've probably all heard breathing a million times before, but sometimes in the middle of stress, we forget to do those things that are grounding for us, that are nurturing and healing for us. So this is about reminding ourselves of what actually works. Let me give you some other tips for how to deal with burnout, especially working from home now, as so many of us are. One suggestion is to have defined work hours and boundaries. Geography used to set this for us. We had home, and then we got in our car or transportation, and then we went to a place called work. And then we worked, and then we got back in our transportation, we got to wind down, and then we went back home. Many of us working from home don't have that now. It's like I go from my bed to the kitchen or the dining room or wherever I have my home office set up, and my commute's like 5 seconds. So I don't have that same geographic boundary to make a shift in my thinking, home mode, work mode. So what I've recommended to people is have clearly defined work hours. I'm going to work from this time to this time. And then I'm also going to have strict non-work times. From this time to this time, I'm not working. Don't call me. And I know this doesn't work for everybody because you might be in situations where you have to be on call or you're an essential worker or something like that. But where possible, where applicable to you, have defined work hours and boundaries and non-work times. One little hack that I've shared with some groups is in the morning when you get up, and you should get up at a certain time, get dressed, shower, do your morning routine, maybe, spend a little time meditating, yoga, exercise, whatever. Before you go to your workplace in your home, physically get up and leave your house. Walk outside the door, even if you just stand outside the door for a moment, make sure you take your keys with you, right? When you stand outside your door, tell yourself when you turn around, I'm going to work now. Then walk back in, sit down and put your work hat on. Have breaks throughout the day, okay? Then when it's time to leave work, you get up and physically leave your house again. Walk outside the door, take your keys with you, take a couple of breaths, take a couple of steps, whatever you need to do, then walk back in and tell yourself, I'm going home now. It might be a Jedi mind trick to help you adjust your thinking to work time and non-work time, because most of us don't have this anymore. Interesting idea. Glad you like that. Yeah, maybe a small walk first, right? Absolutely, Shannon. Set boundaries around your work use of digital devices during off hours. There's some people who have fallen into a really bad habit of just trying to work 24/7. Any of you run into that? Oh, I'm just going to work all the time now. I'll work until I fall over. Yeah, stop that. It's not healthy. It's not helping. So when you're not working, right, take your phone and turn it off, unless you have to have it on for emergencies or you're on call or, you're a first responder or something like that. But if you can, just set the notifications to off. This is what I do after my work hours are over. I just turn my notifications off. And if somebody wants me, they'll call me. I'll leave my ringer on. And then at night, I'll shut the ringer off, right? So, and then I'm not on my phone constantly or have my email on constantly. Incorporate regular breaks into your workday, right? Make sure you're taking what you used to have a coffee break or a walk break or a tea break or whatever. Make sure you have regular breaks, including breaks for lunch. And maybe a break every now and then through the day just to breathe and relax and step away from it all. Here are some other tips for handling job burnout. Evaluate your options. What can you do? So one of the things, yeah, I feel you, Kathy, so exhausted from sitting in front of the computer, no energy to check your personal email or do what you need. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Do you have those unavailable hours clearly established with your staff? Yep. Folks, no, don't call me at like 11 o'clock at night, not answering the phone. I often talk about this thing in many classes called the circles of control. And if you want to draw this on something, feel free. There's a little tiny circle in which you can actually do something. You can take action and make something happen. I call that the circle of control. It's a little circle. Around that one, these are concentric rings. Around that circle is your circle of influence. These are things that maybe you can do something about, you can influence. Maybe you have to work with other people, right? But okay, you might be able to influence an outcome. Outside of that circle is a giant circle that I call STIMM, and it's an acronym, STYMM, stuff that makes you mad. And for a lot of folks, this is where we focus a lot of our energy and attention on all the stuff that makes us mad that we have zero power over, zero control over. I can't control the weather. I can't control the fires. I can't control Congress. I can't control my job. What can I control, right? I can control whether I go outside or not. I can control whether I wear a mask or not, or social distance. I can control the things that are right in front of me. So evaluate your options for how you spend your energy and attention based on what you can control, what you can influence, and the stuff that makes you mad. If you want to be mad about it, set a time for that. Okay, I'm going to be mad about this for 30 seconds. Go. Okay, done. Thank you. And go back to the stuff you can control. I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm not saying it's immediate, except for the breathing part. But I'm saying it's necessary if you want to maintain some sense of sanity. Number 2, seek support. There is no sin or shame in asking for help. If you're struggling, okay, yeah, a lot of folks are struggling. Reach out to those who have a little capacity, whether that's a friend, a family member, a colleague, your boss. If your company has an employee assistance program, reach out and take advantage of that. They have trained professionals on staff who can help you with whatever it is you're going through: substance abuse, depression, sleeplessness, stress, burnout, financial issues, etc. So use your EAP. As Roel said, EAP works, right? Check that out, folks. If you have it as part of your benefits package, take advantage of it, especially in times like these. Try some relaxing activity, right? Step away from it for a while. You know what one relaxing activity is I enjoy? Doing nothing. There are times when, and I feel whatever somebody said earlier about just, looking at the screen all day. There are times I'm like, I just got to turn this stuff off. I just got to turn all the monitors off, shut everything down, and walk away. And if that means I just sit and look out the window for a period of time, then I do that. For some people, they like to read, or they like to cook, or they like to, go on YouTube and learn a new skill, a hobby, a dance, right? Whatever it might be, to find something to help you relax. And even if that relaxing is you taking a nap, right? But try to step away from the chaos. Get some exercise. I know that's been a challenge for some people because, the air quality hasn't always been great in some parts, or, you used to go to the gym, but now the gym has closed down. I have a very dear friend who is a certified fitness professional, and she had a lot of clients that she taught and coached at the gym. Well, gym shut down. So now what? Well, she's been coaching people, through video and online. And she and I were doing some things. And one day I discovered a new exercise called laundry lift. I went in my closet, I grabbed a couple of bags of laundry and just started lifting. It's like, hey, if you got enough dirty clothes, you can get a good workout doing that. We also did an amazing exercise with each other for about a month and a half at our respective homes. We never actually saw each other, but we did this thing called grounding. Has anybody heard about that? You find a patch of dirt or grass, and you just put your bare feet in contact with the grass, with the dirt, right? And so every day for like a month and a half, we would go to our respective places. She would go to her backyard, I would go to mine. We just put our bare feet in the grass and just sit there in nature for a few minutes, right? What do? Nothing. Just sit there with your feet connected to the earth and just breathe. And that was so cool. And we would like take pictures of our feet and text them to each other just to provide accountability to one another. See, I'm doing it. Okay, I'm doing it. So that was a fun thing. Get some sleep. I know that's been really challenging for a lot of people. And you got to work it out. One of the ways that helps me is I have a divider in my space. And so it's between where I sleep and where I work, right? So I just put a divider up so that when I come over to this side, I'm working. When I go to that side, on the other side of the divider, I'm not working. And it blocks my view of my computer and desk. And so when I'm sleeping, I just have the bed and a nightstand and maybe a book that I'm reading, right? Not a lot of stuff in my sleep area. Another suggestion for getting more sleep is make sleep a ritual. In other words, have a regular bedtime. If that's hard for you and you have kids, do you have a regular bedtime for your kids? Look how smart you are. If it makes sense to have one for your kids, it makes sense to have one for you. So have a regular bedtime, and then about an hour before your regular bedtime, start shutting things off. Log off of social media, log off of Netflix, turn off your phone, and then just start to dial down the noise in your life. If you need to make a to-do list that your brain is thinking about, oh gosh, what about this? Just get a pad and write down the stuff that your brain is thinking about, and allow yourself to dial down and ease into sleep. It's really difficult to get to sleep if you just finished watching a movie or you've been active on social media arguing with someone on the internet. There's a funny cartoon. Honey, come to bed. I can't. Someone's wrong on the internet. Right? And practice mindfulness. What is mindfulness? It's the act of focusing on your breath, your flow, and being intensely aware of what you're sensing and how you're feeling at every moment, without interruption, without judgment, without interpretation. So this involves you just looking at where you are, and in some cases kind of popping outside of yourself and going, how am I behaving right now? What am I doing? Is this how I want to be feeling? If this is not how I want to be feeling, let me change that. I think it was Viktor Frankl that talked about there's a space between stimulus and response. Something happens and then we react to it. The space in between the stimulus and the reaction is the space where we have the power to choose. And if I can increase the space between what happens and how I react to it, then I go from reaction to response. This is an aspect of mindfulness, and it's a thing that I have to constantly practice. Something happens, and rather than immediately reacting to it, pause. If necessary, just put your hand over your mouth. That's your body language cue to yourself to shut up. Don't say the first flaming thing that comes to mind. Take a few deep breaths. And then think about how you want to respond. What outcome would you like to have? And what behavior do you need to shift into that gives you a better chance of having that outcome? This is a critical aspect of practicing mindfulness, increasing the space between the stimulus in your life and how you respond to it. EQ, absolutely, Daniel, emotional intelligence. So those are some steps for so we've talked about what is burnout. How do I recognize it? What's the impact of it? What do I do about it? So remember, you can pop out to test-stress.com and take any of the free tests out there. Pick a strategy from this presentation and implement it in your life, whether it's breathing or setting work hours or having a set bedtime and dialing down your life the hour before, or exercise or sleep. And if you are experiencing symptoms of burnout, please consult with a physician, a mental health professional, your company's employee assistance program, and get the help that you need. COVID has forced us to adapt, and many of us have adapted. So if you're here on this call right now, if you're listening and watching, I just want to say, congratulations, because you're still standing. Has this been hard? Yeah. Has it crushed you? No. You're still standing. You're still showing up. You're still trying to figure it out and make it work. And I applaud you for that. I applaud all of us for that. And it's wearing on us. I get that. So now is the time to not shrink away. Now is the time to double down on self-care, making self-care a priority in our lives. Now is the time to look after our loved ones and our colleagues and our friends, because most of us are operating down at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, down at levels 1 and 2, physiological needs and safety, right? So until we feel good about that, we're not going to pop up to the other levels of belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. So do what you can to take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and eventually we will get through this. And I think at the end, we will be stronger from this if we decide to be stronger from this. At this point, Carly, am I done, or do I have time for a couple of questions? Carly, with us?
Hey, James.
Yes.
I work with Carly, and yeah, you can take a couple questions if you'd like.
Okay, super. What's our cutoff time? 9:30?
Yeah, just wrap it up in the next 5-10 minutes and you're good.
Okay. Okay, super. So at this point, I will take questions. If you want to unmute yourself, feel free to do that. There's still 120 some odd people in here, so I don't know if I can read all of these from the chat. Thank you so much for those of you saying great presentation. I appreciate it. Thank you. I hope you got some benefit from it. So who has a question? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Sarah. Can you
Hey,
hear me?
Sarah.
Hi, excuse me. I am actually a marriage and family therapist in the state of Washington, and your presentation was amazing.
Thank you.
Everything you said is like, yep, do that, don't do that, yes, do that. And I just wanted to remind people that you can see a counselor for anything.
Mhm.
You can see a counselor just because you're stressed. You
Mhm.
don't have to have a mental health diagnosis.
Right.
And I don't work for this company. Psychology Today is a website where you can find a therapist that takes your insurance,
Mhm.
and it has a picture and a profile so you can decide if they're right for you. Again, I'm not trying to like jump in, but everything you said was so great. And I just was reading the comments and I just wanted to make sure people knew that just because of this, you can go see somebody because of a pandemic or being stuck in the house with your kids. Like this is a normal thing. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. You're really normalizing people's stress levels right now. And I really appreciated that.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that great tip. Yeah, folks, you don't have to be diagnosed with a chronic mental issue. You're just feeling some stress. So go talk to somebody, right? And don't think that all of these things have to cost money, or if you don't have insurance right now, oh, how am I going to pay for that? There may be some free resources in your area, either through your company, or if you're not working, maybe through your church, or maybe there's a civic organization, maybe there's something offered through your city. So look online and just do a Google search for free mental health resources and take advantage of that. I know I'm also a professional coach, and I'm not really qualified to deal with deep mental health issues, but I can listen and I can help coach people. So, find some professional coaches that might be able to help you brainstorm some strategies about, self-care or work-life balance. There are resources out there, and don't think that, there are no resources. You might have to spend a little time looking for them, but they're there. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Don't be shy. Any books on burnout that I recommend? None that come to mind, but there are some books that can help you, not specifically about burnout, but can help you develop a better mindset. One of them is Carol Dweck's, D-W-E-C-K book, Carol Dweck's book about growth mindset. And this is all about changing the way we think. And for the most part, everything I do is a reflection of my mindset, a reflection of my thoughts. A fixed mindset says, oh, this is terrible and I can't do anything about it. A growth mindset says, this is terrible and I haven't done anything about it yet. So a growth mindset opens you up to possibilities, where a fixed mindset basically doesn't see possibilities at all. I do want to share one point here, and it's something that I share when I talk about growth mindset. There is no static. There's no fixed, unchanging state. Everything in our lives either gets better because we work towards making it better, or things get worse because we either work at making it worse or we don't work at making it better. There is no unchanging, fixed state in the middle. So if you want to do or be something in your life, something different, something better, that requires some direct action on your part, or maybe action with another person or a group of people. And developing a growth mindset is essential towards that. So while not directly related to burnout, I think it could help with that. So look for Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. Talk about these. Yeah. So we've got some upcoming workshops. Carly, do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, James. So we have these upcoming workshops. These were a couple, and James, feel free to share any others that you think kind of would resonate most with this group after your session. But these are a couple that we recommend at Learn It. And these are anywhere from 2-hour to 6-hour workshops that we have coming up publicly. So these community sessions are meant to be kind of a short snapshot around what we would teach in a kind of a longer form class. So we get more into breakout rooms. We talk about these topics more in depth, and we apply them use activities. So you have a lot more time to do it in a hands-on way. So these are a couple of the sessions that we have coming up around growth mindset. We have one around coaching and kind of unlocking your own potential and helping others with their own performance. And then we also lead, James is a leader of many of our cohorts. We have a 5-week cohort that's a 2-hour session every week for 5 weeks, where we build on different topics every week. And so when you join our online community, I just put the link to it in the Slack. There's a discount for that. So if you message me in offsite or email me directly, I'll include my email as well. You will receive a discount on these public courses so that you can take advantage of that as well. So again, these sessions are really meant to scratch the surface, but in some of these longer form courses, we really dive into it as well. So would love to help you all as well if you're interested in one of those courses. Awesome. And then that's also a link for Offsite. Offsite is Learn It's new online community. So we organize the conversations and content in there by topic. So we have a topic all around personal growth and working remotely. So James is in there and talking about different topics, posting books and resources that he recommends. And you also have the opportunity to kind of connect and network with people in there. So that's our new community. We're transferring over from Slack. So would love to see you all in there. It's a lot more robust than Slack, and we can all interact together in a lot more meaningful way. So would love to see you all in Offsite by Learn It as well. I also want to leave some time to have Alyssa on and share. Again, we're doing an informational session with Eden Housing on Wednesday, the 28th. So I'll share the invite to that as well in the chat. But Alyssa, wanted to give you my technology isn't working how I would like today. So we're gonna forgo the video, but I'll also share the video in the chat and also via email. So any closing words, Alyssa?
James, thank you so much for the presentation. I think for myself at this point, it checked all the boxes that I needed to just kind of let me know I'm not alone and let me know I'm not losing it, because sometimes it feels like I am.
You're not.
Much for the presentation. But ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have any questions about Eden Housing, our tenant relief fund, or are interested in volunteering, I'm going to put my email in the chat as well. So please feel free to reach out to me. If you have any additional questions, I'll be happy to help kind of guide you guys through anything you're interested in learning about Eden, and hopefully get to see you guys at our office hours next Wednesday from 1 to 1:30.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. I'll stick around for any last questions. We'll leave a few minutes, but anything else, James, that you wanna end with?
Just that we're all doing the best we can at our current level of consciousness and capacity, right? So if you find that things are hard for you, they probably are. So don't discount or deny that. Do what you can in that moment to try and breathe through it. And then if you can breathe through it, then look for things that you can do to adjust your life. Remember, this is about adapting, right? Being with what is right now. A lot of us are mourning what we think we've lost. Oh, we're not doing this anymore. And what happened to the old normal? The old normal is gone. This is the new normal. And it's an opportunity for us to create something maybe better than what we had before. One last thing to leave you with. One thing that many people are doing that seems to be very helpful is develop a gratitude practice. Maybe this is something you start off in the morning with, or you end the day with. What are you grateful for? Are you grateful that you're still alive, that you still have a job, that your family is still safe and healthy? You're grateful for nature, something. What are you grateful for? And if you want, just drop it in the chat box real quick. Just what's one thing that you're grateful for in your life right now? Lynn Grabhorn wrote a book called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And in it, she says, you get what you focus on. If I focus on what's not working, I just get more of that negative stress. If I focus on what is working, I get more of the benefits of focusing on what's positive. It's not denial, it's balance. Is there terrible stuff happening? Yes. Is there good stuff happening? Yes, that too. So if I'm going to look at everything. And right now, I need to look at the positive things. So what are you grateful for? Able to work from home, for your team, working from home, grateful for your job, financial security, supportive people. Anybody miss commuting? I don't. I like my 5-second commute. I'm digging that. I miss being around people because I enjoy training and being able to interact with people and the energy of that. But, hey, sitting for 2 hours in a car trying to get to San Francisco or San Jose, it's like, no, thank you. So anyway, thank you all so much. I'm grateful for the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with you this morning. I hope I shared something that was informative or inspirational, something that can help you. Again, thank you for being here. I wish you all the best. Eden Housing, thank you for the outstanding work that you're doing. And if anybody feels so inclined, if you can, drop some ducats in their bucket to help them, because they're doing great work in the community, helping people who really need tenant relief, who need housing relief. So thank you, Eden, for the work that you do, and thank you all for supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. And I'll actually drop the donation link here in just a moment. And we also have another session coming up on storytelling next week, which should be really fun as well. And so if you enjoyed this one today, we would love to have your support with the donation and also see you next week. So there's the link to donate there. And then I'll share the link for next week's session, but that'll also be available via email. But thank you so much, James. This was incredibly valuable. So thank you so much for your time, as usual.
Thank you all.